good thing. No? So we will be. We have to silent this. Okay, sorry for the disturbance. So anyway, okay. So March 22 will be our summative assessment. Okay, we will include topics starting from jQuery. There will be more topics that I will add, and there will be one more final performance assessment. It will be a create registration web page, which will allow a user to create a registration and save it to MySQL, and then a login logout. Now I hope we can have time for CRUDs, no, where we can have, for example, add, edit, and delete. I hope so, no. Tough that obviously we have how many more? 4 weeks more, no. Sana kaya, no. The topics are getting tougher and tougher as we go along. No? So anyway, last meeting, I have I've shown you how to install XAMPP, and I've also installed Node.js. No? And then I've shown an example, no, of a simple backend program that will be used to manage a simple server. Do you follow? No, the code is there already. Okay. Now, one thing about before I forgot, no, we have run XAMPP, no. So once you have the control panel, you can either start or stop the selected services. No? In XAMPP, the first service that appears there is Apache. What is Apache? Apache is a web server. No? It is where the client, or rather the browser, communicates with. So if you have a browser, if you open a Chrome or an Opera or an Edge, no, and then you encode a URL, the URL will be received by the server, no? Like Apache. So there are several servers now. No? You can start this, and then you can configure your firewall. No? You can configure your firewall in the control panel. This is a little difficult in Ubuntu. And then in under systems and security, you have you just click this. No? You have Windows Defender Firewall. Okay, and then you can, I think this, no, not that, no. Advanced settings. Okay, and then inbound rules, no. So and there's already an Apache server. You can open 8080, the port 8080. That's trivial, no. Students do that, and if you want, you can also open the firewall for MySQLD, so that's port, I think, 3036, so that you can access MySQL outside of your desktop, no, over the network using the IP address. Like in this case here, no, on a different PC, no, I can type the IP address, no, of that PC that which have installed my XAMPP, no, and then dashboard, no. So that's where my XAMPP is, and then you can also call PHP my admin. But anyway, PHP my admin here makes a local connection, no. I forgot the actual syntax. Let's go, look at it in the local. Baka if it's forbidden, the port which is used by MySQL is not yet through the network. Hindi pa siya through the firewall. PHP myadmin / it's not, by the way, I think we also have to check whether the service is running. No? There are many ways to do that. No, you can check the services list of Windows, or you can just run PHP myadmin, and then or you can, by the way, or you can check the status under the XAMPP control panel. No? So now you see that, no, in this control panel, MySQL is running. Now, for any web server, no, there will always be a folder assigned to store the entry point, which is your index.html. Do you follow? You can look at it under config. No? Kung tingnan, if you look at the configuration of your HTTP, one of the options here is where the this is the server root, okay, CSAMP Apache, and then the HTC docs. No, HTC docs is where the HTTP documents are found. No, so anyway, it's one under there. No, okay, can we look at that? No, it's under CSAMP. Okay, I have you can change this, no, so that okay. It's a folder called HTC docs. It's here, no? They follow. There's the dashboard, okay? And then if you look at the index, the index.html here, you can open with edit or notepad na lang, no? For the moment. So that's the no. Okay, that's the document that you see there. You can open this with Chrome. So ito rin yun, no? This is the same document that was presented to you by the server. So hindi mo na makikita, but this is the actual file. Okay. It's currently running, so therefore it's in a shared mode. There's no way to access it individually. You have to access it through the browser. Okay. So nandun yung HTC docs. Now there's another web server by Microsoft. It's called Internet Information Service, or IIS. No, so it stores its index.html in one of the public directories. It's usually under. I think I have something here. No, in my drive C, because I have a running. No, I have a running server here. INetPub. Wala pala. It's in a folder called INetPub. No? So most probably under the root, no, of your C drive. Okay. So you can also see the index.html there. You can figure out, okay, your index.html. So it opens. Okay. It's like a live server running on the net. Okay. Any questions so far? So last meeting, I also have shown you a sample server code for Node. Okay, do you follow? So is Node running? Yes. Let me open my Visual Studio Code and then open a folder. I think we're already here. No? Ito app.js. No? So for example, we have here something that I'm sorry, no, renders an HTML file using the HTTP module and FS module of Node.js. No? So to run this, you just say Node, the name of the, no, you can say, pwedeng ganyan, no? Like that. That's if you're using Ubuntu, this is still okay, no? App.js. Okay, and then you open your browser on the designated port that you have on. Now it should be a different port than 8080 because 8080 is the port. Okay, tayo. Which port are we listening? Let's check. Okay. Port 5000 pala, no? It's not 3000 but 5000. Okay. Ayan. Okay, do you follow? Now this wala itong mga links, no? That's why. Okay. I will try to find out. I'll try to show you how to open the links. Okay. Kasi kung tingnan mo yung if you view page source, may mga links ito. But we will render this. We'll have to render this individually using Node.js. Okay. So we have here, what we have here is the file system. No? Like any other platform, no, Node.js is divided into different modules. No? You can create your own module, The very common module is the HTTP server module. So you say in Node.js, when you say require, you're actually activating or pulling out an existing module. Do you follow? No. So if you are doing C# or C++, the equivalent is include. However, no, there a slight difference is when you do a require, you can store the result of that require into a variable, a JavaScript variable. No? Do you follow? So that later you can call the members of that variable, because object oriented, you can, for example, say listen, up that listen. It's just being serially tied up here, but you can say up that listen, and then save. Then let's stop this, then run it again. Okay, so it's the same. What happened? Is there an error? There's an error, no? Baka kulang tayo ng semicolon dito. Okay. Ang sabi niya, node internal error. Okay, anyway, we don't know what the error is, but may error pa rin. Okay, let's set it back to that listen. Baka meron akong na change, no? Anyway, no? Up ba yun? Let me check if I renamed it as up. HTTP pala. No, FS. Then server pala, no? It's not up, it's server. That's why it's wrong, no? Server, the name of the variable is server. So we say server dot listen. Okay. So yeah. And then we run this. We no longer have an error. Okay. Do you follow? Okay, so the sample code is already in our regular site. The next thing, in the near future, no, we are going to shift back to the client programming, because we are going to use a JavaScript library called handlebars. Was heard of handlebars? By next meeting siguro, no? Or maybe the meeting after that, we will discuss handlebars. Handlebars is a module which can be uploaded in Node. It's originally written as a client library like jQuery. So we'll have to go back there. And then later we will integrate that client library with Node, so that we can use that client library in the back end. Okay, so don't be surprised if next meeting or the meeting after that, we'll be going back to the client side. Okay, so anyway, it's just temporary because it's much easier to explain a client library in the browser rather than in the back end. Okay, so okay, so we have given that sample, and then let me create another today we are going to use another sorry, I'm having a sore throat. Another module under Node, which is called Express. Let me put out Express.js. It means JavaScript pa rin ito. You cannot find it in W3 schools. Okay. Now, Express.js is a web framework. Okay. Asan ba yun? For building basically APIs and user interfaces, which means that you can create web pages, you can create servers, which will give data, which will throw away data to different types of devices like browsers, cell phones, with general purpose. So Express is a web framework. So being a web framework, it has equivalents. Like if you have heard of Django, Django is the web framework in Python. So in which case, Python is the platform and the web framework used is Django. In PHP, we have a lot of web frameworks. PHP is a platform which you install, no? Either in Ubuntu or in Windows. And then you can use a web framework called Laravel. No? So dito sa here in Node.js, one of there are many. No? The most popular is Express.js. Okay, do you follow? It is a web framework which we can use to build backend servers. Okay, both for APIs and for what is an API? Application Programming Interface. No? Let's look at under our Daygler site. No? Kasi meron tayong ano. I have given you a sample site, no, for an API in Daygler. Nandito, no. It's a mock API, no. It will just give you a mock data. Ibig sabihin, parang lorem ipsum, no. Do you follow? It's like lorem ipsum, and then something that you can just use to test, no, which means you can create an interface and then get the data and display it in the browser as if it's true, no, so that you don't have to generate your own data and create your own server. If you just create a user interface which you would like to test, no, so you can use that, no. It's there in our no, in our Daygler site, no. Nandito, no. Sample JSON APIs. It's JSON because it will return JSON, no? JSONized data. For example, if you want to get a list of users, meron siyang sample list of 10 users. Look at that, no? Ibibigay na niya. So if you want to do authentication, although walang password dito, no? You can test your usernames, no? From here, no? So, for example, you will have posts or you can have photos, no? If you want photos, no? You want them displayed. So, meron yan. If you want to display a particular photo, you can say photos +1. Okay. So yeah, it's not displayed, but it will give you the URL of the photo. So if you can check that out, may sample din siya. Many of them, of course, are just blank photos. It's like, no? So something which you can put on a website for testing purposes. Okay, you follow. So that's an API. No? It returns a JSON. So kung JSON, just in this format, it's started by a curly brace, followed by a property and a value, property and a value, property and a value, and then ended by a curly brace. Okay, JavaScript object notation, in short for JSON. It used to be XML. The old version of JSON is called XML. Okay, so ito yun, no? That's what Express is. We can use it to build APIs. We can use it to build front end. We can web pages that make use of APIs. Okay, so meron sample JSON APIs now which we will use later, by the way, no? Okay. So Express.js is the web framework which we will use to build client server-side web pages. Okay. First, let us have a sample. Let us create a sample Express. No? So we'll have in our designated VS Code projects, we'll have sample Express, Node Express. We'll have sample Express here. Okay, and then we will open the folder here. It's a blank folder. Walang laman, na. You follow? Now, let's open the terminal. Okay, so may terminal na tayo. Now, the first thing that we need to do is to create a node project. You follow? So project na tayo. A project is a collection of resources, like HTML documents, JSON documents, views. Views are actually server-side XML-like files, which you can program which you can program during runtime. Okay, you can manipulate during runtime. Okay, first we have to create a project. No, I think it's in our regular site how to create a node project. Okay, to create a node project, bakit mo to ganito? Okay. The command is npm init. I'm not sure what's that. There are options, no? By the way, no? Wala yung aking kodigo because I'm on a different ano ko muna na. Let me open another file again. No? Creating a node project. Okay. So the first thing to do is to create the folder. We have it here as sample project, or rather sample express. And then we install, we call npm init. Okay. So you don't have to specify a file name. It's now sample express because it's the folder. No, you follow? npm init. Init means initialize a project. Okay. Bakit wala? Okay. This will walk you through. Let's call npm dash init yata na. npm dash v. Node muna. Control C muna. Okay. Let me close this first. Okay. Close the terminal, open a new terminal. Okay. npm dash v. Okay. Dash v. npm dash baka may mali ako, no? It should be init. Okay, let's look at what ano nangyari. Okay. Sabi niya there's a lot of errors, no? Let me check. Meron bang ano? There should be a there is a parameter that's missing. I think it's in our na. It's in the old diagram. Create a new node. Package. Let me just look for the to create the folder and then sandali lang, no? I'm looking for npm init lang talaga. Bakit mag-error, no? I'll try this. Let me click. Okay, hiningan tayo ng package name. Anyway, we'll have to call it package.json, okay? Okay. npm init. Okay. We'll just enter, no? Para mag-create na siya. Version 1, press enter. Description, just entry point, it should be index.js. Test command, we'll just keep it blank. Keep repository. The author, you can put your author and then there's a default. No? Is this okay? Yes. Okay, so you now have a package.json. You really have to just to answer. What is this? This is a JSON file which contains the packages that you have included in your project. Do you follow? So this is being an empty project, no? Okay? Bakit wala pa tayong ano? We have an ano? Index.js. Okay. Let me close this first. Okay. Anyway, we'll just create our index.js. Okay. Can we already do that? Node. Pwedeng ganyan na. Index. Module not found. So maybe we'll just have to create our own index.js. So we'll create a new file. We'll have it as index.js. Okay. So we have our first project. Okay. Now the next thing that we do, our index.js is still blank, is to install Express. Okay, I'll put it in our site. No? Okay, we have to install Express, no, so that we can use it. No? So we now say npm. Npm is our node package manager. No? Npm install Express. Okay, or you can say with dash save, so that it will be saved to the package that JSON. Okay? So it will now download. No? So kung tingnan mo yung bagong package at JSON, okay? Nandito pala na. Isasali niya. And then you will have a folder called node modules, which means that all modules that you have included will be or installed will be here. Nandito na rin yung Express, okay? Somewhere, no? So that includes the whole set of modules that Express need. Okay? So anyway, let's try Express right away. Punta tayo sa index.js. Do you follow? Huwag muna tayong mag-install ng ano, no? Let us not install Nodemon yet. If you try this, no? This will be mahirap ito eh, no? Kung walang Nodemon, okay? So the first thing to do is to export or to import Express, no? So we say, okay, kasi ang ginamit natin previously, what we did is to use HTTP, but HTTP is very crude. Do you follow? Nandito yung ating last ano. I'm sorry. Here's our simple render. Ito, dati we say require HTTP, and then we are going to run that, no? The HTTP, and then render files individually. But we don't just render. So this time, instead of using HTTP, we will reuse Express. Okay, Express is a more enhanced version of HTTP. Okay, do you follow? Okay, and then we declare. Okay, we declare, like the server, we declare an instance, no, to be able to run. Okay, let me save this first. Express, we declare an instance of Express, and then likewise we will have a port. We will assign a port. And then now we will use app.get. Okay. 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 Can we? I think we can still use express.send. Okay. Ito yung wala sa atin kanina, no? Before, no? Send. Meron na siyang, you don't have to use fs anymore. This is the root page. Okay, do you follow? Okay, you can console that log here. Okay, and then of course we'll say app.listen. Okay, app.listen to a given port, which is port. We follow? Let's save this. Sorry. Okay. So let's run this. Node. Sorry, I should be on the terminal now. So dito sa terminal, we run node index.js. Okay. And let's open our browser. We're listening to port 3000, localhost. Column 3000. And this is the root page. Do you follow? Do you follow? And if you have an index.html, which we can copy somewhere, no? Pwede natin kopyahin dito sa sample node 2, where we have an index. Okay. We'll copy it here. I-copy na lang natin manually from sample express, and then we paste it here. I hope it will appear. Nandito na siya, index, no? Ayan yung index HTML, full functionality. And in our index.js, we say, instead of send, we say render. Rest.render. Index.html. Okay, can we save this? Then Control C to stop the server, and then we run the server again. We'll know there's an error because Node will issue the error there. Then so we refresh this. Okay. May error tayo, no? Let's look at that, no? Hindi niya na-render yung index.html. Why is that? Kana-confuse siya, no? Okay. Kana-confuse siya, no? Okay, nandito naman ang error, no? Node express sample. Okay. Middleware. Saan siya nag-error? 341. No, sorry, no. So mali pala ako. This should be this is a file name, so this should be enclosed in parentheses. Okay. Control C, then we run it again, up arrow key. Okay. And then let's open the browser and refresh. Ibang error na naman. Cannot find the module HTML. So hindi pala pwedeng, you cannot use render yet, no? Because you have to use a different module. No? Okay. Kailangan ganyan. Okay. Let's run it again. Hindi pa rin. So we cannot render it yet, no? Okay. Okay. Kasi we can render. What we can do is we can render an HTML like this. No? Let's do that. Or send lang. This one. Okay. So have you tried this already yourself? It's good if you can try this, no? In your vacant time. No? Because Maybe we lack a module. We really lack a module. Now let me find the module first. In Node.js. Rest that render function. Okay. Sense and render the HTML, but anong kailangan niya? Here's a sample. Oh. Okay, let me just simplify this. Okay. Kulang na module, no? We'll have to Control C and then run it again. Let me just check, no? Anong kailangan? Hindi, no? So we still need to use a different module, no? So for the moment, we will suspend the render. Okay, we'll just say send. Home page. Okay, and then we run it again. Ayan, no? Do you follow? So we'll suspend for the moment render, no? Now, you may ask, isn't it a very tasking process where every time we have to recompile, we have to stop using Control C and then run it again. Okay, run node again. Anyone? Any idea on this? Okay, stop na naman natin. Do you follow? Okay, there's a module which will allow us only for development purposes, which means during the time that you are configuring your server or your yeah, doing debugging your server, no, for development purposes. Okay, it's called Nodemon. Do you follow? Okay, Nodemon is a daemon which means it will run behind the background and will check if there are changes on your mod on your project. Automatically it will refresh the server without you having to do the Control C and then running it again, no? So we can do that using npm install -g, or you can use save dev nodemon, no? So it's in the nodemon. Okay, it's another you don't have to export this, no? Install lang naman niya, no? Okay, and then when you run, for example, node index.js, okay, wala pa, no? Hindi pa siya nagtakbo. On zero will na. Okay, nandiyan siya. Now, this is, when you can say, this is the home page, and then save it. Then try to refresh. Hindi nag-ano yung node mo. Hindi nag-work. Why? Dapat mag-work siya, no? Hindi siya nagano, no? I'm sorry about this, no? We can remove, no? We can remove Nodemon and install it again. No? Let me check again the syntax, no? Minsan may mga changes na kasi. Nodemon.
Sir, para ano po sir, yung sa package.json.
Di ba may ilalagay ba?
Sa package.
Yes. Package.json dito.
Dyan po sir, ano po. Bale, naka-ano lang siya sa akin sir. Naka Nodemon and
Can you chat that in the, no? Put that in the chat. May kulang ako dito.
bale sir, yan yung ginagamit ko and then mag node dev, mag npm run dev.
Okay, sandali. Bali yung pagka-install ko. Dev nodemon index.js. Ang pagka-run ko, no? Nodemon index.js. Okay tayo. Nodemon. Dev.
Ano po sir? Under sa script sir. Nandyan sa package.json
yes.
sir. Ayan.
Yes. Anong ilalagay dito?
Bale yung sinend ko sa chat sir. Yan yung gi-paste ko sa baba.
Yeah. And then you remove this when you actually deploy. Dapat isalin niya ito dun sa ano, dapat isalin niya pag ano, save kasi we have a command save. Bakit ayaw? No. What's wrong with this?
Comma po sir sa after ng test.
One. Kasi
tapos ano na lang siya sir, npm run dev. Ganun po na gumagana sa akin.
Because when you say npm does save, tama ba yung pagka-save ko? npm does save ba? Isi-save niya dapat dun sa package.json. On -g ang ginamit ko. Let's just remove it yet first, no? I-remove muna natin, no? Let's reinstall Nodemon again. Okay. Okay. Kasi dapat isi-save niya yun, no? Nodemon npm remove ba? npm uninstall. npm uninstall Nodemon. Okay. Now let's install it again using automatic saving. Kasi meron siyang option to install using and saving at the same time. Nag-dash save tayo, di ba? Ito. npm install -save dev. Okay? Dapat isi-save. This should save in the package.json. npm install -save dev. No. Close muna natin ito. Let's look at the package.json. Ayan, nilagay na niya, di ba? Okay? So, nilagyan niya ng dependencies. Okay? And then, how did you run the node, the npm? How did you, sino ito? Si Leonor ba? How did you run the, ano? Let's run this again. Sorry. I'm on the wrong, ano.
Bale sir, pwede mo na i-diretso na lang sir.
Okay.
Kaya na, ano naman.
So, okay na to. So, let me just close this so I don't make a don't save, no? Kaya magkamali tayo, no? Delikado, no? Okay, so the option is npm install dash save dash dev nodemon. So it will install, it will already put it there in the package.json node index.js. Okay. Okay, let me just change this. Let's refresh. Bakit hindi nag-work? Okay. Dapat kasi i-change ko no? So it didn't work. Let me just check this out, no? Dapat okay na siya kasi nandun na siya sa package.json. Okay. Let me check this out and go back to this, no? Okay. For the moment, we will proceed. Kasi ang gamit ng Nodemon is to see to it that changes are automatically fed back to the server. Okay. So that when you refresh, dapat nagbago na ito. Okay. Do you follow? It's already in the package.json siya naglagay. Oh. Okay. Anyway, for the moment, we'll just use Control C, no? And then I'll get it working the next time around, okay? Yeah, it should have been working already. O kailan pa ba natin we already have installed it. It's already in the package.json. Okay. So anyway, I'll check that out myself, no? Okay, let me close this. Nasaan na ba tayo? So what do we have here? So this is a route. Okay. And what up that get means is this is a response to a get request. Okay. So for example, you can, shall we say, this is the root page. Okay. And then you can have another, you can have another about page, for example. No? About. Routes ito, no? Do you follow? Okay. Let's run that. This is the root page, no? And when you say backslash, what's that about? Do you follow? So these are two get requests. No? These are two get requests following different routes. The route is determined by the URL that was indicated by the user in the browser. Do you follow? Do you get my point? No. For example, we can have another get request. So this is contact. Okay. Okay. Tingnan natin kung merong contact, no? If our Nodemon work. Yeah, hindi siya nag-work, no? Which means we really have to stop. Okay. So there it is, no? Hindi pa gumagana yung aking Nodemon. Okay. Can we try this? Kopyahin ko muna yung sa index.js. Let me just dito. How do we run this now? Automatic naman, di ba?
Sa akin, sir, npm run dev ko and then automatic na siya every time mag-save kayo.
npm run dev. Like that?
Yes po, sir.
Ba tayo? Nodemon index.js.
Tas bale sir, kada save mo sir sa index.js kay mag-refresh siya.
But
Parang live server.
there's an error. Let's try this. Is there an error? Okay. Can we try change our index.html? No, our index.js. So na-monitor na niya, no? What we have contact. Oh, yes, no? Okay na. npm run dev. Do you follow? Can we just stop this again? Baka, let me just remove my so sa package at JSON baka doble na ito, no? Because it's already there. Yeah, it's npm run dev, no? Kasi yung pala na yon, you just have Nodemon index.js. Ayaw niya eh. So we really have to put it there, no? Kasi yun pala yung entry level. Okay? Okay? This is the entry level. Okay? This we specify that during development, that's the entry level, no? And then we'll just remove that later, no? Be careful with editing the package.json.
Yes po sir. Nabasahan ko lang din kasi sa documentation.
Masisira, no? Masisira. It's good that you have a backup, no? Okay. Okay. Okay na siya, no? So npm run dev, and then it will monitor the changes that you do in your website. Okay, in your backend. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay. So what do we have here? Ito yung mga routes natin. Do you follow? This is our routes. And then we will just fill the content later, no? But what we'd like to do primarily is to build the API first, no? Which means that we build the routes, we build the data, and then we'll do the rendering later. Okay? Do you follow? In fact, I've shown you a sample API, di ba? Dito sa ating Dagler. We have a sample API in our Dagler, which we can use. Ito ang gagawin natin. Let's make an API first. Okay, like for example, you have this. It will give you 10 users, okay, in JSON format. And then we will transfer maybe the content of this to a div, and then to a table, whatever we like, no? And then display it in a client, in a view file. Okay, so ngayon what I'd like to show is the routes, okay? Do you follow? Ayan. You can use render if you use a view engine, but let's not use a view engine yet because we will use HBS, no? By the way, no? So kailangan nating we'll have a separate lecture for HBS, handlebars. Okay. So anyway, nandito na. Let us try to get users, no, in our so let's say we'll have a route called get users. Users, no. Okay, so you follow? And then we'll send the JSON data. Okay. Pwedeng ganito, no? You declare a JSON variable called a JSON object. Before sending that, no? Okay. We declare a JSON variable. You know what a JSON is, no? So you have a property and the value, a property and the value. And we send this back. Okay. We send this back to the browser. Okay. Tingnan nga natin. Now we will have what? Get users. Diba? Okay. Did you follow? So we can now use, no? We can actually use Node and Express to build an API, no? An applications programming interface that gives us data, like what we have here, no? Ito sa Mac, Kasi when you develop a web application, there are two sides, no? The API gives the data, and the client displays the data. Do you follow? No? Displays or renders the data. So ganito yon. If you look at JSON placeholder typico.com, meron siya mga examples, no? It has examples, no? It has 100 posts, no? So this is the API, no? First and foremost, before you can create a CRUD, you should be able to create the API. Okay? So to do that, no? A very simple application to do that is to declare a JSON object. Okay? Do you follow? And then send that this JSON object. You can have an array of this, no? Okay? Do you follow? Over the and send it over the server, no? Okay? So that's what we do. We declare a JSON variable and then we send it back. So we now have a simple API. Like for example, when you want a user to log in or log out, no, and so on and so forth, no. So you will use an API. Saan tayo ngayon? We are Postman. Okay. Now I'd like to introduce you to a new application. When you are building an API, sometimes the browser itself is very difficult to use to monitor the aspect of the API. Why is that? Kasi although makikita mo yan dito, no, you can see the API in the browser by using the dev tools. You can press F12, no? Here. So press F12, you will have the dev tools. Now, so sa console makita, I think it's in the application, no? Application data, no? You can see here the cookies, no? The local storage. What's the local storage, no? And then okay, you can also see the block, no? Ito, no? They follow the elements that was returned. Okay, layout, no? So mahirap ito gamitin if you are going to monitor. If you are going to test an API, a browser is difficult to use, no? Usually there's another utility tool called Postman. Postman is like a browser, but it will not render the contents of the page. What it will do is just display, okay, what is sent by the server. Okay, they follow? So Postman is very important. For example, it will let us install Postman, no? You can download Postman and install and look at yung JSON samples, okay? So we'll install this. I haven't installed this on this computer, no, because I want to show you how to install this thing. Bakit ayaw? Show in folder, and then, ayan, di pa tapos. We'll just run this as administrator. Install this. So the good thing about Postman is you don't have to build a client in order to test, no, HTTP requests. Kasi dito ang matitest lang natin in the browser are get requests. The post and the put cannot be no. Okay. Bakit ayaw, no? Let me this latest version, no? I haven't used this yet. Okay, so nandito na. Meron na tayong Postman. Continue without a theme. Okay. Ito, no? We can send a request here. Do you follow? Dito tayo mag-send ng request. Bakit ang liit? Okay. So for example, we had our sample, can we just run this, no? Get users, localhost colon 3000 get users. So we can, no? Paano ba natin ito ma-edit? This is a get request, no? Bakit ayaw? We got this, no? Dapat dito tayo. Send request. Okay. So ito, no? I'll just have to click it. What happened to that? Bago na yung kanyang interface kasi. This is the newest Postman, no? Okay. Bakit nawala? Okay. Let me just run this again, no? From scratch. Yes. Complicated na ito, no? Nawala yung aking get request. Masyado na kasing this has become so popular, no? Ang version nito. Okay, no? Wala yung aking send kanina, no? Requests. So these are the ano. Okay. Select the plus button near the top of the Postman to open a new tab. Ito. New flow. To get start. So anyway, no, I'm running out of time here because the Postman I have used is a much older version than this. Okay, what we need to know, nawala yung aking ano kanina, no? Yung aking main interface to send requests, no? Pwede ka palang gumamit, mag-create ng API dito, no? This is a new version, no? Ito, no? Dito, meron dito, no? So for example, we'll run our ano. Okay. And then, okay. In our browser, what did we have? We had localhost colon 3000 / get users. Ayan, no? We can test this in Postman, no? Send. There's the, ano, do you follow? And then Postman will give you the result. Do you follow? It's just like, ano, but this will give you a lot of other things, like it will give you the body, it will give you, if there's a password and a user, no, i-return niya, no, and then the parameters that you send through the request, you can send the parameter to the request, so say /1, like this, no, no, this is not being sent, no, anyway, kasi our browser did not, our server did not expect this, no, there's no processing for this. However, if we look at our, we try this with our test API, doon sa JSON, okay, this one, this is JSON placeholder. Okay, can we just test this to users kasi mas konti lang yung users, okay, test this here in our Postman. Okay, so now this is the same request that we got, no? Do you follow? No. So we can test, we will create APIs in Node and then test the API without using a browser, no? So for example, we can add a parameter and send. Okay. So ayan, no? This is user 1. Okay. 2. So merong route. Okay. The JSON placeholder typicode.com, merong route has indicated a route for this, no? We will also create routes, no? But because we are going to create CRUDs, like for example, you are going to edit user 1, user 2, user 3, no? Okay. Now, for params, for example, we can use ID and then the value of 2. For example, you can send it there. So ito yung isi-send niya. Oh. Do you follow? You can send parameters to a GET request to a particular URL. Okay, so without you having to type the parameters in a URL line like in a browser, no, in a browser URL. Okay. Next meeting, I'm going to show you a simple on a simple post. Kasi ang ginagamit natin dito, what we are using is get, no? Ito we will use a simple post. What will happen? Can we do that in our Can we just do that in quickly here in our sample? So for example, we can have post app.post. New user. You follow? Then we'll have a function. Yes, which means that, okay, by the way, this is the function that is called, we'll have to use open and curly braces. Okay, we log this. Okay. Post working, and then we will say rest that send direct that params that anyway, wag muna tayong we'll send the params later, no? Okay. Okay. So new user, that's the so an npm dev. So we'll go to our local host. 3000 plus new user, and then we'll send. Let's try to send. Okay, so ito yung body niya. Oh. Do you follow? Do you follow? This is the body of the reply. Okay, now there are parameters here. Okay, for example, we can say user ID 1, username John. Okay, and then we can send. Do you follow? Now, what we'll do here is we'll trap the parameters that were sent here. Do you follow? What were the parameters? We have user ID and username. Okay. Var user ID equals request that params that user ID. Is that the params that you sent? Capital I ba? Small, no? So anyway, let's make it small. And var username. Naka-default lang yun, no? But anyway, what we did here is it's a small, is rect that params that username. Ayan. Do you follow? So we are calling a post. Now a post is activated when you have a form which will have an action, which will have a post method. New user. Can we have it here? Like that. Pwede ba ganyan? No. new user, just the username. Okay. Do you follow? Now let's try to send that here. And hindi niya nakuha yung ano, no? Undefined. Okay. Hindi niya nakuha yung username na params. But we have set a username params. Oh. Do you follow? Anyway, I'm running out of time. No? I'll check this out next meeting. No? I hope you see the point. No? We are using Postman because through Postman, you can issue different requests. We can get, put, post, no? Even a delete. These are HTTP requests, even without having to create a web page. Do you follow? Do you get my point? No. What I'm trying to show here is when there's a request to post a new user, okay, to your API, the API should be able to receive that parameters, no, and should be able, and of course we'll do some processing, no, like we do an SQL insert to insert the user to the user table, no, and then we will send, no, okay, a message called new user added. Okay, mali yata itong syntax. There's a mistake in my string syntax, no? Okay. Any questions so far? Next meeting, I'm going to show you routes, no? Okay. Do you follow? Any questions so far? No. So we're just beginning, no? And then, yeah. I hope you have time to create a real CRUDs. Okay. Where, for example, we can insert new users, we can delete an existing user, we can update a username, and so on and so forth. Okay. Any questions?
Hi sir, may concern kami sir regarding
Yes.
yung deadline sa PAA 3 po.
PA, which PA?
PA3 sir. Sa class kasi namin sir, mostly is nag-take ng integral calculus na class.
Hindi kita
Tapos,
marinig. Why is that?
Marinig na ako sir.
Okay. Can you, are you far away from your mic? Baka malayo ka sa mic, no? Cyril, ulan, yes. Can you say that again?
Sir, marinig na ako sir.
Oh, marinig ko na. Sige. Sige, I'll try to find.
Yung sir, most kasi sa klase namin is may integral calculus na class, and then may PA kami this coming tomorrow po, Friday. And parang most of us hindi naka-attend hindi naka-work on PA3 sa AppDev. Tapos
You want it postponed?
Mag-request na kami sir ba ng konting extension dun sa deadline ng PA3.
You want it postponed?
Kahit ilang days lang po kasi.
Yeah, no problem. Wala namang problema kasi wala din ako mag-time mag-check ngayon. Okay? I'm so busy, no? So anyway, we'll just extend this. No? PA3 ba? Mahirap din kasi ito. PA3 is not very difficult. Mahirap yung PA2. PA3 is ano lang naman, di ba? But anyway, we'll extend that. Okay? Kailan natin ma-extend? February after Valentine's? Kasi, okay. February 14 yung deadline kasi nung ano, no? 15 ba? Or 14? Nung PA?
15 yung original nag-set mo sir.
Okay, no problem. After Valentine's na ito, let's find out anong araw, no? 1. Nagmamadali na tayo ngayon, no? Kasi remember, no, the semester will end on March 21. Okay. February 15. O 28. Para over the weekend. Last day of February. Kasi meron pang isa, no? Meron pang isang PA. Okay, which you need to pass until March 20. Do you follow? 28, pinakalas na ito para hindi na ako magsige adjust, okay?
Yes po, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So we will have one more PA, no? In Node. Kahit ano lang, create registration, user login and logout. Okay? Because anyway, we're running out, we're out of time, no? Because we really cannot cover everything. No? So you will have, I hope you will have a continuation. There's full stack development. No? So this course is just like introduction to full stack development. No? So any questions?
Sir,
Yes.
kailan niyo po i-open ang formative assessment 2? Hindi ko pa po siya makita.
Wala pa, mga March 22.
So hindi pa po ngayon, sir, ang formative assessment 2.
Hindi pa. That will be the final formative assessment. Kasi nandito nga
Sige, sir.
according to the no, ang schedule natin ng summative, it should be a summative assessment, no? Ang pangalawa nating test will be a summative assessment. Okay? So the schedule of that, we can only have one more, no? Hindi na kaya yung dalawa o tatlo, no? Will be March 22. Do you follow?
So sir, yung supposedly ngayon sa 22 na po, wala na yun ngayon.
Wala na yun ngayon. Meron ba akong nalagay? Formative assessment 2?
Opo, sir, yung 10, 11, may
Hindi kaya, hindi pa tayo tapos no? I'm sorry about that, hindi ko na na-update. Meron ba? Where is that? Formative assessment. I'm sorry, I forgot it already, no? Kalimutan ko na. I might just as well remove it na lang, no? Formative assessment, this is the first. Wala pa, meron ba tayong formative assessment 2 or performance assessment 2?
Akala ko, sir, may formative assessment 2 ngayon, sir. Para po sa doon sa mga bootstraps.
Ewan ko, pero wala akong nalagay. I don't recall, I didn't recall putting anything in Bagler. Meron pa ba siya? Maybe I've announced it, but it's temporary, no? Do you follow? Kasi wala akong nakitang formative assessment 2.
Ay, baka sa ibang subject siguro to, sir. Pero wala kasing subject nakalagay. Hindi ko alam asan exactly.
Kasi dito to sa Picas klase. But you are not enrolled there, right? I didn't recall putting a formative assessment 2 yet. Maybe I've announced it, no? By mistake.
So, summative na diretso, sir. Wala na
Summative
second.
na tayo, no?
Sige po,
Summative
sir.
na. March 22. That will be our last deadline, no? Okay. So thanks for coming, everyone. See you on Tuesday. Okay. Thank you. I'll upload the recording.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Bye, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. No?
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.